Hello, all you mighty, marvelous viewers out there. This is Jack Collins here, and this video is going to be very different from all my other videos. This isn't really going to be a short form video per se. This is going to be a long video where I ponder one of the greatest questions known to man and many comic book fans alike. Who is the greatest Marvel character of all time? Now, specifically, I want to talk mainly about the best Marvel superhero, and not villains or anything else in between. Though for my money, best Marvel villain is honestly Doctor Doom. I mean, come on. With the guy who can rule a country and also is probably the biggest threat out of, any of the other villains because he has plans for everybody, to the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and Spider-Man and the like, yeah. I'd say Doctor Doom has it all covered out. But now that that's out of the way, let's get to the real introduction on who I think is the best Marvel superhero. Besides Moon Knight, of course, but he's definitely my second favorite. Now there have been plenty to bear the name of Marvel's greatest hero. From the obvious namesakes like Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, the Hulk, Wolverine, and Thor, to others like the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Fantastic Four, or even Kamala Khan. While those guys are awesome, I'm here to tell you about the greatest superhero known to man. Some might view him as a joke or a total dunce, but nah, he's a fucking legend. The true clown of Chad energy. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the guy who I first heard about in the DK Marvel Book of Characters, the awesome Slapstick. Now then, anyone want to hear some more on my favorite character besides Moon Knight? Okay, here he is, the one, the only Slapstick. Now, let me explain his origins. Basically, Steve Hartman was once your average high school prankster, until the day he got snitched on and sent to the principal's office, as he then planned to get revenge on the snitch by dressing up as a clown, going to the local fun park, and then throwing a pie at this no-do-gooder's face. But it wasn't until said fun park's mirror house turned out to be the home of the overlord from Dimension X, and the evil clowns that reside within it that wanted his friends for world domination. Steve, not taking this too kindly, grabbed a mallet and went inside to fight these killer clowns from outer space, where he fell into said mirror portal and ended up in Dimension X, as he then met the Scientist Supreme there, who looked like Groucho Marx, who gave him the gloves that turned him into Slapstick. Thus, using his new powers, Slapstick beat up the Overlord and his evil clown minions, and saved his friends from the kooky mirror dimension as he tried to think up a new name for his new identity. His buddy, Ike Peterson, chimed in with a couple other names, like the Jester and the Joker, but the one he liked the most was Slapstick, and, well, he kept it. Like with many other superheroes, Steve has his own little coterie of supervillains, which consists of some of the weirdest and wackiest characters that I think Marvel has ever put on the page. Like, for instance, let's take a look at the Old Killer. He was a character who essentially was guided to a mall by some sort of TV broadcast about the X-Men, and it led him to Slapstick, and they had a huge fight at the mall. That is until Slapstick knocked him out with a kiss, and then double whammied him with Gertie, his mallet. And then Spider-Man arrived to web him up. And then there's Oliver Denton and his evil robotic teddy bear, who were basically sent out to kill a girl, I think, that Steve was with. But luckily, Steve beat him using the power of positive charges, and he got all buff and Popeye-like and turned the bear into scrap, and then rightfully gave Oliver Denton what he deserved, a spanking. And then, after that, there was the neutron bomb, who was basically just like a homeless guy who could shoot energy from his hands. Don't ask why or how, it's comic books. And basically a bunch of superheroes like The Thing, Daredevil, and Captain America are all debating on how to stop the situation. That is until Steve just casually went to Steve is in Slapstick, not Steve is in Captain America, went to a coffee shop and then ordered a nice cup of joe for the guy. And then while he was drinking it, Steve then whacked the neutron bomb on the head with his mallet, which didn't earn him much appraisal from the heroes there, as they thought it was a pretty dirty trick. And it led to him getting punted by the Thing in what I think is one of the most hilarious panels I think I've ever seen out of the comic book. The Thing's angry expression and Slapstick's scared look on his face sell it all, when the Thing basically says, "Alright, Pipsqueak, I think we heard enough out of you, so beat it." and then he punts Steve all the way there. And in a reference to Justice League International, Speedball yells out, 10 points, 10 points. And then the things are like, twerk nothing. And then, well, there's Slapstick's Courrier's supervillains, and it just goes to show that despite all his hard work, he's not really that loved in the Marvel Universe. And, well, it's not really a shame, but it's a topic we'll get to sooner rather than later. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about Slapstick's villains, and specifically I want to get back to another villain in particular by the name of Queen Princess, who essentially made her debut in the Slapstick comic book series, which was a 6-issue miniseries written by Riley Brown. Queen Princess was essentially the new ruler of Dimension X, who, after the Overlord got his ass kicked, basically took over, and then after that, kind of made all the cartoon characters there her unwilling, well, to put it lightly, she just kind of made them her unwilling servants. And then after that, Steve is the one destined to go out there and fight her, and this is where things get really weird. She essentially has a huge castle guarded by Sailor Moon-esque guards. And then there's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Birds, who are essentially just birds with little swords, who are obviously parodies of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then there's the part where she gets defeated. So essentially in the final issue, she and Steve battle it out against each other, and it isn't until there's a weird merge between the real world and Dimension X, and Anvil basically just is about to... I'll just cut to the chase. The anvil falls down on her and she splats into a bloody mess instead of just getting back together or just popping up from it like a tune would. Yeah, pretty freaky, messed up death, but she was a bitch anyway and she deserved it. Now, moving on to superpowers, Slapstick himself is no joke when it comes to him using his superpowers. Essentially, his superpowers consist mainly of hammer space, elasticity, toon force, and also the ability to break the fourth wall and also talk to us readers. So, kind of like Deadpool, but not really because he debuted a year after Deadpool, specifically in 1992, but still, people have compared the two every now and again, and they have team-ups, but let's get to that for another day. So, essentially, Slapstick can pretty much just do anything that a normal toon could do, but in the Marvel Universe. His main weapons basically consist of toon weaponry, including the usuals like the anvils, the mallets, boxing gloves, pies to the face, and also essentially just like the usual cartoon wackiness. But he also has a unique power in that when you shock him with positive electricity, he basically gains a power buff from it and turns all super strong like Popeye, and is able to beat up various goons and such. And he's also able to muscle himself up just fine without the positive electricity. But when it comes to negative electricity, yeah, that's basically when he just straight up dies. Okay, he doesn't die, that's just his weakness. But still, you get my point, and essentially this is very much shown when he first enters Dimension X, and he basically becomes a puddled up mess due to all the negative electricity within his now cartoony, goopy body, or essentially in the Avengers Initiative series, where he tries to take on Ragnarok, who is a clone of Thor, and then after that gets wrecked when Ragnarok summons a bunch of lightning that's actually negative electricity, causing Steve to basically just go down in a puddle of goo. Yeah, essentially, he may be a powerhouse, but negative electricity or energy is actually the one weakness standing in his way. But other than that, he's pretty much unstoppable. I mean, hey, ask Taskmaster. He's the guy who tried to copy him once and got his ass whooped in a balloon sword fight. I'm not kidding, look that story up. Yeah, also, the fact that he took on one of Taskmaster's goons in the form of Death Shield via bashing him with a sledgehammer. Yeah, Steve is just not one to mess with. Not to mention, he's also able to take on Hulk-level characters during the World War Hulk event by shapeshifting into a mallet himself. So essentially, his body is not only capable of stretching, but also shape-shifting like he did with that massive mallet form in that one panel. Oh dang, I would have loved to see more of that. But anyways, now that we got Powers out of the way, let's talk about the teams he's been a part of. That's right, Slapstick has basically been a part of a lot of teams ever since his comic book debut. But essentially, he's been a part of 3 total. He's been on the New Warriors for a bunch of years. Essentially, how that all got started was that the New Warriors were battling a new villain called Dr. Yesterday, who was basically just a villain who could summon things through time via his costume or something, I forget. And essentially, Steve happens to get into the brawl, and he knocks out Dr. Yesterday so that way Speedball could get to his machine and sort of stop it from there. And then after that, he was accepted into the New Warriors, and we never really saw him again because the writers kind of forgot about him. And then after that, in 2006, when the Avengers Initiative by Dan Slott started, it was revealed that he was still part of the team, but essentially they weren't looked on too good, as during Civil War, what happened was that a huge battle with the supervillain Nitro occurred, wherein Speedball actually fought Nitro himself, and then after that, Nitro pretty much blew up an entire neighborhood in Connecticut and killed everyone. And yeah, this doesn't put the New Warriors in that good of a light. And they're essentially picked on by this guy named Gauntlet, who essentially is I forget what exactly his point on the series is, but he basically serves as their sort of drill sergeant, and he basically just treats them like dirt. So much so that Rage and Night Thrasher are just tired of it, but they don't want to do anything about it because they know they might get expelled from the Avengers Initiative. So Steve decides to take it upon himself and beats up Gauntlet in a scene that's actually really kind of shocking. He actually just beats him up and then paints an X over his body. And then after that, the other heroes see him and they wondered who beat him up. And it's not revealed to be Slapstick, thank God, because the New Warriors might have been in more deep shit. But they assumed it was an attack by the Ghost or someone like that. And Steve kind of went off scot-free while laughing about it, and Rage wondered what he was laughing about. Steve said nothing and just passed it off as if it was some kind of funny joke he heard. And he was also in Deadpool's Works for Money, where essentially he joined Deadpool's Works for Money after Deadpool basically just, wanted to form a team after he saw how successful the Heroes for Hire with Luke Cage and Iron Fist was. So essentially he hired a team consisting of himself, the Terror, Stingray, Paladin, Fool Killer, and of course Slapstick. And they did a bunch of jobs from here on out until Slapstick and the others then quit him due to them not being paid too good. Which is understandable, seeing as how Deadpool just isn't the kind of guy who wants to work with like any of them, or he's just not the best boss in general. And then, of course, he teamed up with Deadpool and Spider-Man again, this time to thwart the plot of a crime boss who essentially also gypped Slapstick, and then he gets revenge on the mob boss, but then Deadpool kills him because he ratted out Spider-Man and Deadpool to this crime boss, who I currently forget the name of, but yeah, either way, Slapstick just gets shot by Deadpool, and then after that, well, that ends his team affiliations for now, because he wasn't really a part of the team since that point. It's really sad, but that's how things roll. Oh yeah, and in a fight with the Mask, Slapstick would totally be on par with the Mask and kick his butt. I'm just saying though, it's just me, but I feel like Slapstick would totally kick the Mask's butt, seeing as how Steve is in full control of Slapstick, and the Mask just only happens to work on a certain user, but that would be an interesting fight for sure, seeing as how I've seen many comparisons of the character with the Mask, and also I just feel like it would be a fun fight in general. But anyways, we're getting a little off topic here, and I just feel like he's just probably the best character besides Moon Knight because of those reasons and those reasons alone. his origins, his villains, his powers, his team affiliations. It's a shame Marvel can't do more with him. Welp, he's there, and every time he's there, he makes me smile and hope that someday he will get his time to shine. Marvel, I demand you put him in a cartoon, an MCU movie with Deadpool, and also make a cartoon and put him in as many video games as you can, or even have him star in one with me developing it. Oh my god, that'd be a dream come true! They could have a humorous hit on their hands on the level of Animaniacs or Freakazoid, but nope. They had to go with those Diamond Dozen Menaces, the Avengers, over the Chad Slapstick. He can do anything and will do anything the cartoons should kick your hiney into next week. I said hiney. But here are some ideas to keep him relevant in the comics and maybe to put him in other media. Now for comics, you can make a limited series delving into Steve's anger of not turning back into his human form after being Slapstick for so long. Maybe even give an explanation as to why and how he left the New Warriors to become a part of the Mercs for money. He left because he thought that being a hero was too hard because everyone treated him like crap because he wasn't Spider-Man, who he hates to pieces because of that aspect. I make the series that is pretty loose on the violence, out loud the Mask's own Dark Horse comics, while also making it so that it's sort of a character study on Steve and how he slowly turns from a Bugs Bunny style shyster character into someone like Ren from Ren and Stimpy. I would so hire Scotty Young to do the art. He'd be perfect for a character like Steve. As for animated TV shows, there's a couple ways you could do this. Either make him a star's member of the New Warriors in a potential New Warriors show, preferably around season 2, or have him appear in a Deadpool cartoon as part of the main supporting cast, or even better, give him his own monster/bad guy of the week show where he takes on not only his own villains, but also Marvel's other iconic bad guys like Dr. Bong, Frogman, Stiltman, Big Wheel, and El Muerto. Also add Death's Head in there because why not? Yes. Now as for video games, give him awesome roles in video games as a playable character who's pretty much an all-arounder when it comes to cartoon physics alone. Imagine him beating up an entire army with just Gertie, his mallet, pies, bombs, anvils, and boxing gloves. Or even better, you become positively charged with electricity and become a Hulk like Hunk and literally pop out the hell out of your enemies with raw strength. Ha! Take that, Thanos! Consider your California raisin but be sent back to the grocery aisle. And I'll make Dr. Doom end up in tears for that joke he pulled on me back in high school. Hey, it was either that or put him in a game based on Deadpool that works for money, which is a game I would totally buy. And hey, if you could get Josh Keaton or even better, Ben Schwartz to voice the character, I would be so down to play that game if it ever comes out, which it never will. Lol. Well, if you made it this far into the end of the video, then congratulations, my friend! Essentially, this video is not only explaining why I love the character of Steve Harmon, aka Slapstick, and why I basically took you on that little history of the character, but in short, these are just some ideas to make Slapstick more awesome, as I do not own the character, nor do I have any say, because if I did, I'd be doing way more than what Marvel is doing with him right now, and putting him in the obscure character bin alongside characters like the Texas Twister, and also probably Goliath? I don't know if he's alive. Either way, if Steve doesn't show up in comics anymore, that doesn't mean I won't still love the character and appreciate the work that James Fry and Len Kaminsky put into bringing the character to life. Did you know that James Fry allegedly said that when he saw the Slapstick books be put in the kids section, he tried to convince the comic store owners not to put it there, and they all looked at him as if he was crazy? Yeah, I didn't know that either. Nor did I know that he was created in 1988, 1989, and bought around that time, yet not used in his debut until 1992. It took that long. Really? But yeah, either way, I think we've come to a good, satisfying conclusion. And that, folks, I don't say that's all, folks. I'm just gonna say, the end. Congratulations if you made it to the ending of the video, and be sure to don't forget to like and subscribe, and also just like, I don't know, things will happen in the future, we'll see. Now I recommend you pull away from my video to also not get any eye strain, but either way, maybe I'll upload another video like this, maybe not, we'll see how popular it is, but either way, stay tuned, everyone. Stay tuned.